I do believe that over time, people are becoming less naive about the fact that home invasions happen on a regular basis. Even where I live, out here in the woods, this stuff happens, man. It's different than a robbery that people come and steal things out of your home when you're at work. But when people wait until you actually get home to rob you and to maybe do other things to you, this is a kind of a sickness that society is full of. And while there's a lot more good people, I believe, still that are out there than these criminal-minded people and these pathological criminals, we still have to deal with the scum of the earth in our own neighborhoods. And so it is good to take the blinders off and see things as they are. You know, I think one of the top ways that they get in your home is they pose as a certain type of profession, maybe like a delivery service, and they want you to come out and get your package or to sign some forms, or at least open the door so that you can sign the signature portion of receiving the goods. And or they pose as a utility crew member that say that they have to check something because there's a report of a gas leak or this or that. I mean, it goes on and on about different techniques to get you to put down your guard and to maybe just for a moment trust them enough so that they can take control from you. And take a lot more than just your trust. Take stuff and maybe even your well-being, even your life and those around that you consider loved ones. So we have to be very vigilant. So we have to have a very high level of awareness and not just let anyone in our homes and not open the door for just anyone. You know, if you didn't order anything and you know for sure that no one else in the home ordered anything, don't open the door for supposedly like a delivery service, especially one that you never even like recognized before. Like you don't recognize that vehicle or that brand or even that logo. You just don't even know what that's all about. Don't open the door, man. In fact, I would possibly even be calling the police and or arming yourself if they come up to your door and they don't want to leave. They keep on banging on your door, acting like they have something to deliver. I would be very suspicious of that. Of course, you can be overly suspicious to the point that you can't even enjoy your life. And we're not talking about that. We're not talking about being paranoid. We're just talking about if you see something out of order, see something that's not normal, don't just ignore it. Because it may apply to you real soon. It may actually really be a problem for you. So having a plan involves knowing what kind of responsibilities that you have to yourself and others, what type of priorities should be looked at when you have a threat like this or you're suspicious of one of these types of incidents happening. What type of actions do you have laid out? And have you practiced training and drilling these actions so that you have the best odds of keeping and maintaining your control over your home and your well-being? You know, when you talk about buying time in these situations, one of the best ways to buy time is to just default that there could be a problem before there is, so that you have that healthy suspicion to give you a little more time to think out what you're doing before you open a door or do something that exposes yourself. And also you buy time by being organized. In case they do get in your home, you'll have the skills and the gear that you know where it's at and you know how to use it to equalize or neutralize the situation to your benefit. Now, there's other things that we can use, like our alarm systems, motion sensors, and things to help get an advantage to help us become more aware, if you will, like a watchdog or even an attack dog. But there's also gear that I want to recommend that you may want to at least consider. Not all of this stuff is like highly recommended that you have to have in your home invasion kit, but there are some things that are optional and some things that I would say that would not be so optional. Of course, it just depends on where you live in the world, if any of this is even legal in your area. But if it is, I would use it to the full extent. Firearm, whatever that means to you and whatever you're proficient in, whatever you may just have, because I could rattle off some things that I would recommend in terms of firearms, but if you're never going to get those and you don't have any interest in those, then so be it. Whatever firearm you have an extra set of ammunition, whatever format that your weapon system uses. Maybe it's magazines. Have a few extra magazines loaded. I like to have a light on my weapon, and I like to have a sling if it's a long arm. If it's like a handgun, have a good holster and a good belt possibly. And throughout the day, if you can conceal carry, do that so that you have that to fall back on if you had to. And during the day, have a gun accessible in the home. And at night, have it close by to your nightstand, for example. This is common sense, at least to me it is. So besides a firearm, I would have to say a duty light. Even though you may have a light on your weapon, you may not want to use that as your primary light, just to identify threats. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. You don't want to be pointing a gun at someone that you don't intend to shoot. You're just trying to identify a threat or to see what a noise is. After that, you may want to have whatever size that you feel comfortable combat fighting blade. This is completely optional, but it could be useful. You should have your cell phone close at hand, and it should be part of this kit. So before you go to bed, it should be charged up and ready to go, as well as having your wallet as part of your kit in case you need to leave the home. And your keys to your home and your car should be right there in case, once again, if you leave, you can go and drive your car away from the area to be safe. And if you need to regain entry into your home later, you can. The next would be having a trauma kit in case you got injured, in case you had a fight, whoever came into your home. And it would definitely be, even though it's optional, I think it's kind of important, especially in the legal sense, to have at least one or two non-lethal options, pepper spray or a baton, whatever it is that you can use efficiently. Also, gloves, whatever works for you, as an option. Most people probably would not have time to put gloves on. You may only have moments to react in a real situation. Just like eye protection, most likely you're not going to have time to put eye protection on. But if you can put some ear protection, especially if you think you're going to have to use your firearm, if you have just enough time to do that safely, then put it on. It's going to give you your ability to hear after the shooting and preserve that sense. Our senses are very important. So the sense of hearing, if you can preserve it or at least protect it as much as possible, it'll give you that advantage. A whistle, it's optional, but if you have it, it would help. Just in case, like if you live alone and you could use it, maybe your neighbors could hear you blow a whistle and they know that, maybe you tell them in advance, if you ever hear me blow my whistle, I need help, I'm in distress. It's just an option. And lastly, maybe like a bandana. In case you have to use pepper spray and you're worried about spray back, maybe from a fan system you have or air conditioned vent, maybe if you just have enough time to put a bandana over your face, maybe you'll minimize any type of issues from your non-lethal options. Now, how can you carry all this and organize all this to be the most efficient so you can train with it and to be organized so you can buy time? I would recommend a chest rig or a plate carrier system with pouches. And if you want to go to the extreme, maybe like some soft body armor. I think the plate carrier and the chest rig is really where the professionals are when they actually do this for themselves, to protect themselves in their home. If that's too far and you're not comfortable with that level, neck pouch systems, a sling that can be placed over the chest, backpacks that can be worn in the front instead of the back for easy access, maybe some type of belt system, whatever works for you there, or a tactical vest system or any kind of vest system that can just hold gear that you need. And it can just be that simple. We don't have to make it any more complicated. So have the stuff that you need and know how to access it and have a plan. Everybody in the family should know how to do what they should be doing to preserve their life. Everybody should be on the same page, and you should drill at least a few times a year, and you should probably even have a certain word or a passcode in place just in case it's needed to alert other people in the home that there's something going down. And those words should never be used unless there's a real emergency. And so that's what we need to do for our families. We need to have a system and a plan in place. Otherwise, can be victims fairly easily by being disorganized. So hopefully these tips can be helpful on some level. If you have additional thoughts on this subject matter, feel free to share in the comment section. As always, you guys be safe and you guys take care.